and
Oddworld.
Hey oddballs, I'm your host Jensen, and welcome to episode 106. If you are an American, you know that after July 4th is spooky season. And it is spooky season, and I am grinning from ear to ear. Also, I'm sure anybody who was born today is grinning from ear to ear, so happy birthday, you July 10th babies. We're going to learn a little about you, so here we go.
Happy birthday.
Those born on this day are vitally interested in all aspects of the human condition, ranging from the psyches of those who surround them to the behavior of humanity as a whole. Their forte is observation rather than action, which is not to say they lack strong opinions and ambitions, or the determination to implement these when they feel impelled to effect progress. It is rather that detailed information gathering is a crucial prerequisite to the formulation and promotion of their strategies. In fact, their gentle, unassuming demeanor typically masks a keen and powerful intellect, the incisive expression of which may startle those who do not know them well and may have misjudged them as being passive and dull. But once they have secured the background data that they need for the best chance of success, these individuals will embark upon the quest to realize their visions with remarkable fixity of purpose and tenacity, drawing from their armory of talent upon their prodigious organizational skills. July 10th people are naturally attracted to non-materialistic pursuits, and their inclinations and skills augur especially well for their success as insightful psychologists and psychiatrists, artists, writers, and musicians, as well as dedicated athletes. In fact, in any field where a corporate ethos would not restrict their independence of thought and action. They are generally extremely discriminating in their choice of friends and life partners. But once they have committed their affections, these sensitive and loyal individuals will stick to their nearest and dearest through thick and thin. Their virtues are analytical, progressive, practical. Their vices are passive, isolated, overly cautious. So happy birthday again, you July 10th babies. And if this sounds like you, let me know. And I've got some really great stories today, so we're going to jump right in.
This comes from MizMe78 on Reddit.
I've always believed in ghosts and the paranormal. I've never been able to see spirits, but I can usually feel their presence and/or emotions. When my son, who is autistic, was 3, he's now 17, we lived with his dad's sister in a huge house. I don't know how old the house was, but one day, my son and I were home alone and were playing in our room. I was grabbing him by the ankles and flipping him over on the bed. We'd been doing this for about 30 minutes. All of a sudden, my son starts looking past me to the corner of the room and looks terrified. I should also mention that he was completely nonverbal until the age of 6. He grabs the blanket and throws it over his head. I pull the blanket off his head and say, "What are you doing, silly?" Still looking past me and still looking terrified, he puts the blanket back over his head. Again, I pull it off, and this time I ask him what he sees. He makes a motion, like to demonstrate someone hanging, and makes a face with his tongue hanging out. This time I don't let him put the blanket back over his head. I tell him to wait a minute. I turn around in the direction he's been looking and say out loud, "Look, I understand you're probably trying to communicate with my son because you realize he can see you, but he knows I can't see you, so it's scaring him, and he's autistic. I need you to leave, please. I watch my son's gaze follow from the corner of the room all the way to the door. He then looks back at me with a big smile on his face, claps his hands, and is ready to play again. If I hadn't been a believer before that day, I definitely would have been after that. This one gives me mixed emotions because it is super creepy, kind of good, and also just really kind of neat, but that's just me. I think it's neat because just the whole breakdown of the story. This poor kid sees someone actually hanging, like face and all, tongue out, everything. That's terrifying. But the mother can't see it. And good for his mom saying, I need you to leave, please, instead of just like ignoring her son, you know? But the fact that this child is literally watching something go out the door. She is watching him follow this thing out the door and then is just all happy and smiles again. Like, that's freaking wild to me. That is just, it's wild. I haven't really read anything like this before. And I feel like maybe most parents in this situation would maybe dismiss this. I don't know. Or they would just dismiss it because they're terrified. So the fact that she was just like, I need you to leave. And the spirit did just that. I don't know. That's really interesting. I did mean to ask though, if this had ever happened again, or if that was just like a one and done type of situation. But anyhow, I would like to know your guys' thoughts and opinions, and we're going to go ahead and move on to the next story.
This comes from Alexandra LeMay on TikTok.
I was sleeping over at my best friend's house when I heard her mom walking down the hall at 2 a.m. So I peeked out and saw her locking the front door. She turned, smiled, and walked back down the hall to the kitchen. I woke my friend to go get a snack, but when we got to the kitchen, no one was there. Her mom wasn't home that night. A few moments later, someone tried to break down the door. They damaged the frame, but never successfully got in. We ran to our room and locked ourselves in and waited until her mom returned. Her mom returned and we told her what had happened. I told her how the woman looked just like her, tall, with short hair, and she had the same reassuring smile. Her mom was calm and said to us, "It sounds like your grandmother paid us a visit and locked the doors to protect you girls while I was gone." Had the spirit of her grandmother not woken us and not locked the door, I have no idea where we would be today. Thank you, Grandma. Our loved ones are always with us. I stumbled upon this one. It's actually a video, but I stumbled upon it on Instagram and it blew my mind because I haven't heard of a story where a spirit actually goes and like locks the door to more or less save the people inside the home. Like, I'm sorry, what? This is on a whole other level for me. And the fact that this person woke up, saw it happen, woke up their friend up and was like, hey, let's go get a snack in the kitchen, fully expecting the mom to be home. The mom was not home and nobody was home. And then someone was trying to break into the house. Like, this is on a whole other level. But also the fact that this person got a really good description of what the spirit looked like, then told their friend's mom what the spirit looked like. And the mom was just like, oh yeah, that sounds like my mom. How freaking wild is that? I haven't heard of a story where a spirit physically goes and locks a door to save the people inside. Honestly, if anything, this one is kind of comforting in a weird way, knowing that your relatives or just spirits in general can kind of save your life on the other side. I mean, I'm not saying that, this was going to be the end of theirs, but who knows? Who knows what could have happened? And it's wild. I don't know. I haven't really heard a story like either story today. They're both wild on their own accounts, but I would really love to know your guys' opinion on either story today. Head on over to my website and let me know. Also, if you have a story like either story today, or just a paranormal story in general, let me know that as well. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And well, it's an odd world after all. Oddballs, thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to leave 5 stars or thumbs up on whatever podcast platform you listen on. If you have any comments for this episode, comment below or head over to Instagram and comment on this episode's preview. To submit a story or for more information, go to itsanoddworldafterall.com.